One, two, 3, 4.
Yeah. Overrated, underrated. All right, let's start with this
You can
one.
laugh at us. We're weird.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm okay.
You can skip.
Yeah. Don't just comment. All right, everybody, before we dive into today's episode, we have some exciting news to share.
That's right. The Casting Faith podcast has officially partnered with
First Form,
your go-to for the best energy drinks, greens, protein bars, beef sticks, and much more to fuel your fitness and wellness journey.
Whether you're hitting the gym or heading out on the water or just trying to feel better every day, First Form has you covered. It doesn't matter if you're keto, if you're vegan, whatever diet you're on, they have you covered. Think premium protein products, top-tier vitamins, and even these delicious energy drinks that fuel this podcast.
Here's the best part. When you shop through the link in our bio, you're not just investing in your health, you're helping the Casting Faith podcast and supporting us to bring you more content.
So go ahead and check it out. Grab what you need because they have you covered, and let's tackle this faith, fitness, wellness journey. Whatever you're on, this is the stuff that will fuel you. And let's dive into today's episode.
Let's go.
I challenge you as a believer, let that power get out.
Blind people received their sight. People have been carried in. We're healed. Nobody touched them. Nobody laid a hand on them. We just praised the Lord and spoke the word of faith, and God began to heal the people.
Here's a fish.
Yeah, let's go! Oh my gosh, he's a big. He landed inside.
He kept me from. Scott, look how massive this is.
The Casting Faith podcast.
Push on.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Casting Faith
Hey!
podcast.
Wrong button.
Yeah, today's episode is all about how life, like fishing, can be unpredictable.
Just like when I hit that button instead of that button.
Send you some whoops moments. Life can be unpredictable, and sometimes the catches we least expect are the ones that teach us the most. And so today we're talking about those unexpected moments that kind of happen. And so we're going to kick things off, Sean. Let's get back into the groove of things.
Yeah,
How's things been going?
No, how you been doing?
I've been doing. I've been doing. He's been doing. No, man, it feels like, man, I pray every year that God gives me a vision for my life, right?
Yeah.
And so if you don't do that, you should do that you should pray always. We talked about that last episode, but also, like Brother Fred.
Well, that was a couple weeks ago, right?
Oh,
when
yeah,
this
yeah.
airs.
Couple weeks ago, we talked about always pray. We'll probably talk about that every episode. You need to pray. But Fred Parrott also tells the importance of a plan. And so you should have a plan going into the year.
Yeah.
Don't just go and we'll see what happens, but you should have a plan. And so I always pray, God, give me direction, give me a plan for this year, for my life. And the word that I got back from him this year was, I will bless the work of your hands. And it feels like everything that I'm trying to accomplish, every plan that I set forth is succeeding in some way. And it's
Yeah.
like a new feeling for
It's
me.
encouraging.
And man, it's so
Yeah.
encouraging.
For sure.
Because I'm not used to I'm used to things, those unexpected things that go wrong. I'm not really, and I don't even want to say I'm surprised because
Yeah.
it's God's favor, but man, things are starting to roll into place.
I think you're rubbing off on me then.
Oh yeah.
Things have not been going that way for me.
Yeah, so a tale of two cities here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like things are going pretty good. You guys know this, but we secured our first partnership for the show in First
Pumped
Form.
about it.
And so they're awesome. We got to meet with Evan from First Form. He was a great guy. We got to sit down and talk and made this deal come to place. And so it's very exciting. And man, the products have been so good for me.
Dude, so the protein bar was fire.
And especially
It was so good.
when you go from like McDonald's every day to something healthy, there's always something quite off about those replacement things.
Well,
But man, these are solid.
I do miss a good McDouble with no pickle. But yeah. So my lunch today was a First Form beef stick and a First Form protein bar. And it was delicious.
Man,
I enjoyed every one. And then wash it down with a First Form energy drink.
which those are good too, and
Yeah.
very, very healthy, non-GMO, different things like
Dude,
that.
I like these way better than Monster. So I always drink the white Monster, and it's just always been my go-to. But so this is the Screamin' Freedom flavor. I don't even know how to describe the flavor.
Tastes
but
like America. And America's doing well right now. Talk about things going well.
Yeah.
America's doing well, and so
Trump probably drinks these.
he has a button in the White House that he clicks for Diet Coke.
So doesn't Jared.
wonder-
Diet Pepsi.
I wonder if First Form would give us a button for Screaming Freedom. We need more.
Yeah, they have a lot of flavors. So like I saw the special edition, the camo can looks really
pretty
cool. So we gotta get them to send us some of those.
But yeah, so if you're in the market for better things, a lot of us are in that New Year's resolution mode where we're trying to kick off healthy habits. They have solid, good tasting products that are, and I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor. They really are good. We've tried them.
Yeah, they're solid.
They're solid.
Yeah.
And
So 200 milligrams of caffeine, natural caffeine from green tea, not sweet tea. Green tea. Yes. So I don't know. Like I guess with Monster I do kind of crash a little bit, but I'm curious to see.
yeah, I don't feel that.
Yeah,
I don't feel that crash with these. So man,
pretty good. Good stuff.
But yeah, thank you, First Form. Anyways, so try that out. Use our link in the bio to just try some stuff out. Very good priced, good stuff. But today we want to talk more about how things are going in our lives. And so for me, it just feels like things like that sponsorship deal and my book that's out. Everything, we got some big guests coming on the podcast. We got some big podcasts that we're doing in collabs with, and things are starting to fall into place. And it just feels like all of the hard work of last year is paying off at the beginning of this year. Yeah. And man, it's a good feeling, but it's not always been that way.
Right.
And there, in life, there's ebbs and flows where, have high point moments and really low point moments.
Sure.
And so life can be unpredictable, but it's in those unpredictable moments where that kind of teaches us the most.
Yeah.
And so, so how about you? You have any unpredictable moments?
Yeah. So last Friday, dude, man, I forget what we had planned. Oh, we had planned to be on the Christian Outdoors podcast that Saturday. And Friday night afternoon, my wife called me. I was at work, and she said, "Man, the car sounded funny, and it's really idling rough when she stopped." And she has a Chevy Equinox, and that thing eats oil for breakfast, like a quart a day.
It's crazy.
It's what it seems like.
Dude, nobody that I know that has had a Chevy, don't sue us. This is just for entertainment. But it's always ended like around 150,000 miles. It's over.
That's crazy because hers has 143,000.
See, everyone I know.
However, I'm gonna fix it, and then sell it. But so she called me with that, and so I was just thinking that it was oil. So I had her put oil in it, and she had to do that before, just because when it gets low on oil, it'll start bogging out or whatever. And so I get home and start to look at it. It's Friday night, and we had the first round of NAYC hotel registration bookings. So,
That's an adventure. Talk about unexpected moments.
Yeah.
There's some expectations there that we just knew what we were getting into with that.
Yeah. So I had to go to. I looked at the car for like an hour, and then I met up with Brother Christian, Brother John, Brother Justin, and we had all our computers getting the hotel registration. Finally got in, and we booked our hotels, but now it's all canceled. We'll see you again next month. But so after that, it was like 8:30, and this advanced auto closed at 9. So I have a OBD reader scanner that tells me like the engine code. So it's saying like camshaft follower sensors and crankshaft sensors, and so and it runs fine. Like if you're driving it was good, but when it was idling, it sounded like it was out of time. So I I bought the 3 sensors, 2 camshaft sensors, crankshaft sensor, and then got home at like 9, pulled the VVT sensors for the intake and exhaust and cleaned those. There was actually metal shavings on this, so that the Chevy dealer said that's my next move is to change those and put the old crankshaft sensor in. So I changed the crankshaft sensor, which you had to pull the starter off to get to it, and it got worse. The RPM gauge went away, and the idle was even worse than it was before. So I changed all the sensors, and anyway. So it's Saturday night, 1 o'clock in the morning. We have a podcast at 9:30 with Christian Outdoors, and I was texting Charlie and was like, man, it's going to be rough.
I woke up at 3 a.m. like, because I don't sleep well through the night a lot of times in my old age. Yeah. But you know what I mean. Anyways, I got up and I looked at my phone, and Sean's like,
yeah,
man, I'm not good right now. Things are not well. I'm very frustrated.
Yep.
Not sure how this podcast, I don't know how I can pull this off.
Yeah.
Gonna have to go to the dealer. And so at 3 a.m, I'm emailing Pete from Christian Outdoors, which, man, they're such great people. They understood completely, and we're rescheduled for that already. And so they understood and, sent prayers and hopes for you and your wife. They're glad that Anna's okay. First of all, we're glad that Anna's okay.
Yeah, she got home, and it was just stressful that night. And so the problem was that I had to make sure that my wife had a vehicle by Monday because, I work an hour away from home, and she can't be stranded without a vehicle and need to take Trenton to school and work herself. And so that was the stressor, was time. So Saturday morning I woke up and I was just like on a whim, just kind of like looking at vehicles, like thinking about maybe it's time to turn that Equinox in and buy another vehicle and fix it and then sell it later. So her dream car has always been, not always, but since they started making the Ford Maverick, she's always wanted one. So I was just kind of looking close because I was going to have to get an Uber if I was going to go anywhere. And they had one right down the road at Haas in Ravenna, and it was pretty new. It looked good, so I went down there. I actually drove her car down there, so I was going to see what they would give it on trade-in. Yeah. That was a joke. I shouldn't have even bothered. They said $1,200, and I was like, I'll fix it. Never mind. I forgot how bad.
You probably get more than that in scrap.
I forgot how bad car dealerships were.
Yeah.
Yes, I went down there and ended up buying the Ford Maverick.
Congratulations!
Not for me. It's a girl truck.
Time out.
That's a girl truck.
Hey, all right, comment on this because that's such a foreign concept to me. For somebody who has never had a truck,
Justin Small, is that a girl truck? He will say yes because he has a man truck.
That's a solid truck. So back in the day, they had the Ford Ranger. Was that a girl truck?
No. I can't tell you why.
Isn't
it's like
the next gen of the Ranger? Isn't that?
I don't know. My Ranger was kind of lifted a little bit, and it was a step side, so it was kind of like. And it was a 5-speed,
so you could trick out a Maverick to not be a girl truck. It does not look like. First of all, it doesn't look like a girl truck.
It kind of feels like a Honda Pilot.
Yeah,
that's a girl truck.
Is that even a truck?
Yeah.
Or is it like is a Cybertruck a truck?
No, that's a microwave, dude.
Yeah, looks
microwave.
That looks like a toaster.
Yeah, so we got that, and then I'm gonna fix her car up and sell it. But
man, it was stressful,
dude.
I had secondhand stress. Like at 3 a.m, I'm like, I can't do anything to help you. I don't know anything about all that stuff you mentioned. This sensor, that sensor, this replay. I would have been like, well. I would have took the $1,200 from the dealer. Honestly, like I wouldn't have known what to do.
So the most frustrating part of that day, Saturday, was I've been spoiled. My last 2 purchases of a vehicle were both Teslas, and the experience of buying a Tesla is you go on their website, you click buy now, add to cart, buy now, essentially like Amazon, and you drive to the place where your car's at, which it's not a dealership, it's like a service center or a pickup center. So you go to Tesla, when you pull in the parking lot, your phone automatically syncs with your car.
That's so weird.
Before you've even seen your car knows that you're there and tells you where it's at. So you just walk up to your car. You've never seen it before. You walk up to your car, make sure it looks good. You get in, and then you walk inside and sign the BMV papers for your license plate, and then you walk away. It's you're in and out in under 5 minutes. And so those are my last two experiences buying a vehicle.
And you were in and out of this dealer.
Yeah, so I went to the dealership here
5 hours.
And was expecting like, all right, this is going to be quick. I'll be back. I left my son here. I was like, hey, I'll be back, like in an hour or so. Right. That's pretty funny.
He's of age too. He's not like, I left my 3-year-old.
No, he's in the youth group. He's good. And I'm right down the road. So I'm expecting to be in and out of there in less than an hour because I know exactly what I want. I did all the like the paperwork like online and sign for the credit check and all that online. So I should theoretically be ready to walk in,
take your car,
sign for the vehicle, and leave.
Yeah.
I get there and the guy that called me and said, hey, yeah, we have that truck and come on down. So I get there, he makes me test drive it. I was like, I don't want to test drive it. I kind of like,
was it used or was it new?
It's used, 2023. Okay. I said, I know that's what I want. Let's get the paperwork moving and then I'll test drive it. And he's like, no, I want you to test drive it before we do anything. So whatever. I just drove it home and drove it back. And so I come back and he's like, all right, have a seat and we'll get stuff working. And I'm looking at the clock. I got there at like 10:30 and I didn't even get into the finance office to sign the paperwork until like 1 o'clock. 3 hours later. So it was a total like 4.5 hours at the dealership.
Thanks. Come on.
When I'm used to a 5-minute deal.
You know what?
It was so bad.
It's like a marketing thing. They probably make
so bad.
Like some dealers don't make commissions off sales. They just do sales. But like he was just trying to wear you down.
They asked for a review and I gave one.
There it is.
But I mean, I was polite. Like I'm not gonna like be mean, but I gave a polite like this experience was awful, and I believe every dealership should operate like Tesla. Yeah. Honestly, it's 5 minutes, you're out of there. You do all the work at home in the comfort of your home. But they called like 2 hours after I put that review in, and they're like, "Hey, it was a salesman, that sold me the truck." He's like, it's like, hey,
what's going on, man?
I'm sorry you had a bad experience because we were like chill. Like I was talking to him and talking about just things he did and just what he's into and stuff like that. I mean, we're there for 4.5 hours.
You did 4 podcasts.
Yeah. So I was like, dude, he's like, is there anything we can do to make it right? And I was like, how about just like maybe like the first service for free or something like that. That's fine. Like, you'll just come in and get an oil change, tire rotation or whatever, like on you guys for making me wait. And they were
4
like,
hours.
Cool, that's fine. Let's do
that's
it.
Cool. At least they worked with you.
Yeah, but every car dealership should operate like Tesla, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and
I think it's tough.
If you've experienced purchasing a Tesla, like it's like buying something on Amazon. Yeah. Except you go pick it up instead, and it's in and out. It's so crazy.
Man, yeah, it's tough. I think we're spoiled because we're in that get it now generation, you know. And the way of dealing business is probably going to change drastically, you know, for most people. And when I bought my Santa Fe, it was similar. It was like 2 or 3 hours, and it's like
2 hours would be fine.
it was you know, I think though a lot of it is, you know, the dealership I went to, they didn't make commissions, so it was no pressure on them. They just get their quota from the sale. Yeah. Like it didn't matter. So the price was what the price was, and all of it was on like the financing end. So I knew that we test drove the car. I knew the car that I wanted. We went and I sat with a finance officer and we figured it out and it was over. Yeah. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be, man, make your money some way else.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. Like, especially if you know exactly what you want. Like, you walk in, you've already done, like they called you and said, yeah, that truck that you're looking at is here. And we see that your credit application's already been filed. Yeah. Like, okay, what's the holdup
Yeah, what's the holdup? Why is this taking 5 hours of my life?
in the world?
You know how you can make this better is, you can pay me for those 5 hours that I just lost.
Yeah.
5 hours that I just lost. And but those are like unexpected things. Like,
Yeah.
we had a established plan. We had a big podcast the next day. We had church. We had a bunch of stuff that we had obligations to ministry and different things, and we put our best foot forward. But stuff happens that is completely out of our control. A lot. That'll happen a lot, and whether it's positive or negative, those moments happen because there's a reason behind it. And so a lot of times it's for God to just teach us a moment, and sometimes it's just like the nature of life. But that's kind of what we're going to talk about today is like God's plan in those unexpected moments.
Yeah.
And because sometimes it won't make sense until you're way past that unexpected moment. You know? Folks, listen up. Have you ever felt like you're running on empty? Whether it's early mornings in the creek or late nights chasing your goals, we've got the answer for you. First Form.
That's right. First Form is the ultimate fuel to keep you strong, focused, and feeling your best. From high-quality protein to pre-workouts and multivitamins, they've got everything you need to tackle your day head-on.
And here's the kicker. When you order through our link, you're not just taking care of yourself, but you help keep this podcast going strong. Together, we're chasing faith, fitness, wellness, and the next big catch.
So what are you waiting for? Check out the link in our bio or show notes. Get the good stuff, support the Casting Faith podcast, and let's crush some goals together.
But before we dive in deep, I do want to break it up a little and I have like a funny story I would like to share, okay? Yeah.
You know you like that.
It's
Comment below
it's
if you like the
growing
music.
on me. Hear the Savior call. You remember that song?
No.
No matter how far,
I actually, fun fact,
it is time.
So I'm a musician at church, and I don't have the vocals in my headphones most of the time.
Oh, really? Get ready for
Sue me.
revival. Don't sue us, especially if you're Chevy or Haas Auto Mall.
Yeah.
He loves you.
Yeah,
We're
like,
good.
Have you
Don't-
seen Ryan Trahan?
No.
He keeps saying, he's like a YouTuber. He keeps saying, sue me. And then he's like, my dad said I shouldn't say that.
No.
Actually, don't sue me. Yeah. So I don't actually know the words to songs, and I've been playing church music since I was like 16.
Get ready
So I'm
for
36 now.
revival.
So
Remember that one?
no.
Maybe it's the Sister Johnson original. I can't
Probably.
remember. It's an old choir song, but it has that same
Do
key
you-
progression. Hear the Savior call, calling
Nice.
you to pray. Come up out of where you are to a higher place. He's coming back. No matter how far.
No matter what comes my way.
No matter where you are, no matter how
I'll
far.
lift my voice and sing.
We're going to cut all this.
No. None of it's getting cut.
It is time.
You're
Get
welcome.
ready for revival. Open up your net. Get ready for a catch. That works for a
No
podcast.
idea.
Get
But
ready for revival.
If you can't tell, he's actually a singer. So.
No, light. Not really. Okay.
L-I-T-E
I-
or L-I-G-H-T?
I'm a tier, C singer. So CT.
No, he's pretty good. He gets
Nope.
solos in the
No,
Christmas
none
musical.
None
so
of that. None of that.
That means you're number A.
You
Number
got to
one.
edit that to make me sound somewhat coherent now. That was
Maybe
pretty
I'll
tough.
edit it to be off key.
It probably already was on key. Anyways, funny story. That was our funny story. Charlie's a singer. Yeah, right. Anyways,
Oh, wrong one. Again.
it's okay. Set the scene.
There
Let's
it is.
set the scene, Sean. Let's set the scene. All right. So there's a viral story of a fisherman in Alaska. Okay, he's fishing, and it's not that kind of story. But I wish.
I was
Those
really
are the most
hoping.
fun.
I was hoping. These
he-
guys got me ruined.
So, no, yeah, we do. You need to come back up for air. The whole point of episode 9 was to say that in those unexplainable moments, you stay grounded in truth
Yeah.
and keep a level head, and you're up in those rabbit holes pretty.
I mean, it's fun to look at.
It is fun. It is fun. We'll have David back on. If you guys enjoyed episode 9 where we got into some weird stuff, leave a comment if you want more of
Yeah,
that.
and there's a shirt idea. What was the...
Oh yeah, we had a shirt.
It gets weird when David's on it or something.
Maybe we'll
like
post
that.
some concept art.
Yeah.
Also, let us know what you think about our new logo. We recently did a new logo.
Yeah.
It's
Shout
pretty
out
good.
to Trayshawn Dortch.
Trayshawn Dortch.
Good job,
Hooked
dude.
us up. He did great.
Yeah.
I've already heard some good
He's
comments.
a graphic designer.
Yeah, maybe hit him
studies
up.
at Kent State.
Good young man.
Hit him up on Instagram.
Yeah.
He can do some work for you.
Yeah, good man. Good young man. Anyways, back to this story. There's a fisherman in Alaska. He's fishing, and he's fishing. I think he's fishing for smallmouth. Like he had a smallmouth bass, which I don't even know if that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense that you're fishing for smallmouth in Alaska.
Well, he's fishing for something. Maybe it wasn't a smallmouth, but he catches a fish, right? And all of a sudden, something takes the fish that he had already caught. So he's reeling in a fish, and another fish comes to take that fish, right? So now he's got 2 fish on the line. And he thought he's thinking this is a catch of a lifetime until he reeled in this unexpected thing. He was fishing. Okay, so here's what it is. He was fishing for a specific type of shark in Alaska. And I don't remember exactly which one it was, but he's fishing for this shark, and he's thinking he's got this on the line. But instead of his target species of this shark, he reels it in, and it wasn't a shark at all, but it was a muskie holding onto a smaller fish that he had snagged into.
Oh, nice.
So he had 2 fish on the line. So he's got a tiny fish, and then a muskie had come and eaten that fish.
Most stories I hear of people catching muskie are totally on accident.
Yeah, so it wasn't intentional.
Including mine.
I've never caught a muskie.
Yeah, it was on accident. I was flipping tubes on Texas rig tubes and caught a muskie.
Have you ever imagine you're out fishing for things? Have you ever hooked into like a fishing reel or another person's fishing line?
No.
You seen those reels where people are fishing and they catch a line and they reel in that line and there's a fish on the end of it?
That's crazy.
Isn't that wild? Like I don't think that's ever happened to me, but I've seen a bunch of reels where that happens. But it wasn't what he was going for. He wasn't targeting. He was targeting a shark specific to that area, and instead of that, it was a small fish. And then one of the most elusive fish to catch would be the muskie. It's like
They're hard to
the
catch.
fish of 1,000 casts. I think that's
10,000.
10,000 casts. Yeah. So it's tough. Right now, the steelhead feel like a fish of 1,000 casts for me.
For some.
For me,
Yeah.
it's been tough. Tough season.
It's just been rough weather.
And now we're never talking about polar vortexes again.
Polar vortexes, droughts.
Yep. It's been a rough season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Spring is going to be better, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully.
And then they run back out to the lake, and then we go bass fishing for the summer.
Yep. Crappie fishing, bass fishing, cat fishing, any fishing.
Yeah.
All fishing is good.
I might trade in my kayak.
Oh,
If
yeah.
anybody wants to buy an Old Town kayak, I might sell it so I can get a boat now that we have a little tiny truck.
Well, it's a girl truck, so.
It can pull 4,000 pounds.
So that's not something a girl could do, man.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not going to judge. Maybe if you're on them first form products, you could maybe.
I didn't say
level
that.
up to
That was Charlie.
Canceled! But no, that's cool, man. You're thinking about switching out, moving from kayak to.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think you need to keep your kayak.
The kayak is how I would pay for the boat because that kayak is expensive.
Do you still have your old kayak?
Yeah, I got both.
Yeah, so sell the newer one,
Yeah.
and keep the old one so you have for exercise and
Yeah. Old Town kayaks are nice. You
Yeah.
can stand and fish on it. I love standing up and fishing on my kayak.
Yeah, I can do that. It's just a little. Well, I need some stabilizers to put on there. But yeah, don't get rid of that. But I'm all for you getting a bass boat. Get a bass boat. Why not?
Yeah, just get a little bass boat.
Maybe we can get out on
Start on a little
the lake for
17-footer
the
or
steelhead and get the 6 in a day.
I'm not gonna go out on the lake with a little boat. Have
No?
you
We talked
ever
about
boated on Lake Erie before?
No, I'm ignorant. I don't know.
My father-in-law has a deep V 17-foot, and it's barely big enough for Lake Erie. And
Really?
anytime the waves are over 2 to 3 foot, then it's a no. Yeah,
That's tough.
yeah. Lake Erie is a monster.
Yeah.
Hence the hockey team's name.
So yeah, that guy though, he caught a muskie, which is one of the most elusive fish, and he wasn't even targeting it. He was targeting some shark. And so sometimes I say that story because sometimes life throws you something unexpected, and it's not always a bad thing or a good thing, but it's something you weren't expecting. And there's a Bible lesson on this, and it's really talking about how we should trust God in those unexpected moments. Man, as stressed out as you were and as stressed out as I was for you when you were texting me at midnight about your car issue,
Yeah.
man, I felt sick over it for you.
Yeah, it was It was stressful, dude.
That's never a good feeling, and it's unexpected for sure. And man, it's tough to stay trusting in God when things aren't going your way and you feel like things are going against you and it wasn't expected. It's tough to feel and remain faithful in those moments, but you need to trust God in those unexpected moments. Proverbs 19:21 says, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." And so sometimes we want things for our life that maybe are not in alignment with what God wants, and He allows unexpected things to come up to get us right on our path and on that plan for us life. We can plan, we can prepare, and we can control our lives as much as we set out to do. But just like that muskie catching that guy by surprise, life has a way of throwing us curveballs, and that's okay because we know God has a bigger plan and purpose for us. So it's so hard to do, but when you find yourself in that moment where an unexpected thing comes up and it throws you off track and it throws you off your plan and it throws you off everything that you're working for, you have to still remain faithful and trust God in that moment, because if you could just zoom out and see what God sees, He's just putting you in alignment with what is the perfect will, right?
Yeah.
And so, man, sometimes life doesn't go perfect. Sometimes everything doesn't end up in place, but there's a reason behind that. And man, this theme really hits close to me for a lot of reasons, because at the beginning I talked about how everything seems like it's going my way,
Yeah.
which is super weird because that's not really my story. That's not how things typically go for me. And I'm gonna dive into it a little bit if that's okay.
Let's hear it.
Just to give you guys, I'm gonna be vulnerable and share a little bit more, about my story for you guys. And so it was. Let me pull it up real quick, just so I can be clear. Okay. I want to just share this a little bit with you because I really shouldn't be here today. And I know a lot of people say that, anybody who gives their testimony could say that, but
Yeah.
from the jump, I should not be here. And we should not be securing sponsorships, and we should not be, successful podcast right out the gate. We shouldn't be here. And I think it's God's favor and His love and His mercy that it has brought us here. But right from the beginning of my life, things were not okay. And there was a high likelihood of me never making it to this point. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. In 1992, it was a very different time for high-risk pregnancies. And my mom had a high-risk pregnancy with me. And so medical advancement wasn't quite where it's at in 2025. We take for granted today a lot that is available that wasn't available back then. Back then, if you were a high-risk case, the odds weren't in your favor. To give you some perspective on this, that same year, over 1.3 million abortions were reported in the U.S.
Wow.
In 1992. 1.3 million, and way back then, before it was like the topic that it is today politically and all the other things, before it was what it is today, back then 1.3 million abortions were reported in the U.S. That's about 1 for every 3 babies born, which is crazy. And so in cases like my mom's, termination of your pregnancy, if it was high risk, it wasn't just an option, it was often the recommended option.
Wow.
And so they didn't want you, if you were high risk, they didn't want you to just see it through.
Yeah.
They wanted you to terminate because that was the most likely scenario for you to survive as the woman, as the mother. And so when my mom got pregnant with me, things went wrong from every point. She had already had complications with my sisters, and during her pregnancies with them, and the doctors were really honest with her. They were telling her that this pregnancy is too dangerous for you. Not only will your baby not make it, but if you try to carry this pregnancy to full term, it could kill you. It will most likely kill you. And so that's what they were telling her. And she never told anybody this. In fact, I just found out about this year.
Wow. How old are you now?
I'm 32 years old.
Wow.
And so they told my mom that it wasn't just an option, but it was the recommendation to terminate. You should abort because you're going to die if you try to see this through. And that baby's not going to make it. And so my mom never told anyone that. She didn't tell my dad. She didn't tell her friends. She didn't tell her family. She just carried the weight of this massive decision, like all by herself in that moment when the doctors were explaining her to what was going on. She carried that decision all by herself. But in that moment, her heart knew what she was going to do. She knew what she was going to do. She didn't just go along with what the doctors said. She trusted God and she prayed to God. And she told me this in a text message. I asked her, I was like, hey, I never really heard the whole story. Can you give me some insight, And she just let all this loose on me. And I'm like, hey, I'm 32 and I've never heard, Mom, I've never heard this. But she's listening. But
awesome.
She told
Hi,
me.
Mom.
Yeah, hi, Mom. She told me that in that moment she trusted God and she prayed and she said, Lord, if you give me this baby, I trust you that you'll see us through. But if only one of us can live, let it be the baby.
Oh,
That was
that's a true mom.
Man, that was the moment for her that she had to do that all. And she was younger too. She wasn't my age now when she had me. And so, man, she's young and she's having to make this decision that nobody knows about. And she said, if only one of us can live, let him live. And the doctors were skeptical, but they agreed to at least try and see this thing through. And so I don't want to get too graphic, but they actually had to sew her cervix shut because she was like, how your the woman's water.
Nope, I don't know.
You don't know anything about that? Breaks. That's okay. But they had to sew her up because her water didn't break, but it was like slowly leaking. So the amniotic fluid and all that stuff was
I'm familiar with that.
None of that was
similar with my son.
It was like slowly leaking out throughout this pregnancy. And so they had to do different things like that to keep me from like having a premature birth.
Yeah.
And that was really early on in the pregnancy when that started. And it was a really risky procedure. Even today, that's not really done most cases. But not long after that surgery, the stitches failed. Wow. And they said that almost never happens.
Wow.
Like once you do that, it's kind of semi-permanent until they undo what they did. And but it failed. And so when that failed, she was admitted to the hospital and she was put on bed rest for 6 weeks. And so she's laying in the bed in the hospital for 6 weeks, unable to get up. She can't even use the bathroom. She had 2 younger kids, my older sisters at home that she couldn't see. And, she felt like her body was just giving up on her and she was dying in this hospital bed. And there was a constant stream of doctors reminding her of how slim your baby's to. You can just give this up. You can just terminate and we can get you back to recovery. And we can help you back to recovery. You tried, you did your best, but you should turn. Every day she's arguing with doctors to try to keep this thing, to keep me alive.
Yeah.
And every single day they told her, if he's born now, he won't survive. If this fails, he won't survive. And not only that, but you won't survive. And they even said, in the off chances that this works out, he's never gonna live a normal life. He's gonna have developmental delays. He's gonna have all kinds of issues. He's gonna have he'll never live a normal life. He probably won't be able to walk. He won't be able to talk right. It's gonna be a burden on you if he's born.
Wow.
And so the hope from the doctor's perspective was really like they were pushing for her to have this abortion. And they were very persuasive in that. They were trying to be persuasive in that. And they just paint this very bleak picture.
Yeah.
He'll mentally not be there. It's gonna be a burden on you. And you're gonna be in recovery. You're gonna have 2 daughters at home that are healthy. That you're gonna, this is not. You should just terminate. And then something happened. Her water broke. So that stitched up thing failed. Her water broke.
Yeah.
And technically it didn't break. It just was the finality of that. And her body was fighting off like infection on top of this. So in this 6 weeks, she got infected and she was fighting off massive infection. And then all at once, everything turned south and she went into blown labor. And so no fluid left. She's going into labor, which is now called a dry birth. which is exactly as terrible as as it sounds. It's not an ideal thing. Her blood pressure bottomed out, her heart rate was crashing, and so was my heart rate. And so exactly what the doctors were warning her about was starting to happen. The room was it was chaos. So mom's blood pressure drops, the baby's my blood pressure drops. It's a dry birth, and it's 3 months before my due date.
Wow.
And so the room is in pure chaos. The doctors didn't think either of us were going to make it through this. They made everybody leave the room. Nobody was allowed to be in the room. My dad was not able to be. Nobody was allowed to be in the room. And my mom, in this moment where she's dying, I'm dying, and in this moment she just says one word. And this sounds cliche, but this is what she said. She said, Jesus. Jesus. That's all she could say. And she told me that something changed in that moment. When she cried the name Jesus,
Wow.
she said that my heart rate started climbing.
Wow.
The baby's heart rate. And so not enough to give the doctors, or just enough to get the doctors the window of opportunity that they needed to deliver me at 3 months early. And so my heart rate climbed just enough to where they could deliver me, and they rushed me into NICU. And so from that moment, my mom said everything went dark. She just crashed.
Wow.
And so everything went dark for her, and she woke up in recovery, and they told her, you have a son. But they told her also, don't get your hopes up. He's in NICU. He's critical. They said he probably won't make it. And so last thing she remembers is saying, Jesus. My heart rate climbs. They deliver me, take me to NICU. And then she wakes up to them saying, hey, you have a son. He's here, but it's not looking good. He probably won't make it. But I did. The odds were against me from the beginning. I made it. The odds were against me. I was born so early. And even in this moment, like, this is weird, but babies have something while they're in the womb where there's like fur all over their bodies. And it's called
a fur baby.
Lingo or something like that. It's a fine hair that's supposed to fall off before birth, but it covered my entire. So those monkeys that we were talking about.
So you're a monkey,
bro. I looked like one of those monkeys you sent me in the reel. That's
funny.
how tiny I was. Super tiny, and I was covered in this like stuff that's supposed to fall off you. And this is fact check confirmed. So I'm in like critical care, but this is what I looked like. I was 1 pound. I was covered in, fur allegedly, and my heart couldn't stay beating on its own, and so my brain didn't know how to send the signal to my lungs to breathe without intervention, and so I would have just stopped breathing because my body didn't know how to operate yet.
Yeah.
And so the doctors prescribed me caffeine. Hey! Was
it first form?
No, they weren't around yet. But they prescribed me caffeine. And so they were caffeine drops. And so what it did was it stimulated my brain, and it kept me alive because I was so tiny and so fragile. My mom said I looked like a spider monkey. But I was there. And
did you eat people's faces off?
No, I was not in the condition of a research lab monkey, but they were doing all they could to keep me alive. And so I was fighting in that moment. And for weeks, my mom sat by my side in the hospital, and she prayed over me. She spoke life into that situation. She spoke life into me. She told God, you made a promise, and you said his life would have a purpose. And I believe that you'll keep that promise. And so God's done that. He's kept his word. He's kept his promise. But he wasn't done yet. A few months later, we talked about this in another episode. A few months later, 3 tornadoes hit our house. Yeah. So as soon as I'm out of the hospital, I'm weighing 1 pound in Fritch, Texas. 3 tornadoes ripped through our town, including multiple ones that hit our house directly. My mom and my sisters and I were in the bathroom with my grandma and my uncle and my cousins. My dad and my grandpa were truck driving out of state in that time. And so the adults were all huddled over us, shielding us. And I'm just this little monkey baby in the bathtub, There's no basement or anything like that. And they hold the mattress. My uncle holds the mattress against the door as these tornadoes rip through our house. and everything was destroyed in that community. The only thing that was left of our house in that moment was the four walls of the bathroom. And so when the storm finally passed, we walked out to find that nothing was left of our home. The only thing that was still standing was the bathroom, and everything was gone except for our family Bible. And so when I tell you that unexpected things happen in life, for me, I've only really known unexpected things.
Oh,
And so I did not plan. I'm sure my mom didn't plan for life to start out for me that way.
right.
And man, it's a miracle that I'm here. And so my life is proof that God doesn't just work with odds. He works with promises. And so Jeremiah, this is one of my favorite scriptures. I actually wrote this on the floor of the sanctuary in FAC Talmadge when we were doing the new building. We got to write our scriptures on the foundation. And this was the scripture that I wrote. It says, Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declare the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future." And so that's kind of my life scripture, is like, I have no business being here today. I have no business making it this far. But God had a plan.
Yeah,
And
sure did.
He has a plan, not to harm me, but a plan of a hope and of a future. And so every day
To prosper.
I'm reminded that God's working for us.
Yeah.
God's working for me, even when, our cars break down. I remember that time where we replaced the brakes on my car here and I got the wrong part. And it was a dicey moment. Like,
Yeah.
bad things still happen, but God has a plan, and He has a plan to prosper us. He has a plan to give us a good end. And man, I'm so thankful, not only just to be here, but I'm thankful for the testimony. And if you're out there, maybe you're going through something like this right now, just know that God has a plan and He has a promise. He has a promise for your life. And so,
It's good.
man, it's just,
That's crazy. It always amazes me, the technology and the ability that the doctors and hospitals have to raise life from an age that wasn't supposed to be here yet.
yeah.
Yeah, that's. I remember Trenton being in the NICU, and he wasn't nearly as early as that. I think he was 32 weeks, so that's pretty late compared to you.
Yeah.
But I just remember all the smells, the sounds, and everything with the NICU, and not being able to touch him. He was tiny, and yeah, man, that's crazy. It's so amazing.
Oh, like all the pictures too were destroyed in the tornado. Like all my childhood was all of those early moments.
Wow.
I have one picture, which I'll share it. But there's one picture of me in the incubator, like hooked up all these wires and stuff. I look deathly, man. It was bleak. But man, God kept us, and we're both alive today, and I'm living for the Lord and giving Him, like, I promise God, knowing these things, like even though bad things happen to good people, I promise God that no matter what I do, I'm going to do it for you and for your glory. I have no business being here. I'm also not scared. I'm not scared of tornadoes, because I would have died that way, if it was meant to be. And so I have this I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
And so God's going to receive glory from my life one way or another.
Amen.
And, I just something that I wanted to share with you guys is, Proverbs 19:21 says, "The plans in a person's heart, many are the plans." We have our plans. We do our best, but God's purpose is what prevails. And so, that's an encouraging word for you. If you're going through some kind of ordeal, if you're going through hardship, if you're going through tough times, just know, like, no matter what you plan, God's purpose will prevail. If you're serving Him and you love Him and you seek Him, you will find Him, and His purpose is what will prevail in your life. He knows the plans He has for you. He knows the direction He wants you to live, and He'll give you experience after experience to get on that path.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I wanted to share today. I know that's heavy, man. It's a heavy topic, but I just want to encourage somebody.
dude. There's a lot of so we stayed in the Ronald McDonald houses and stuff at the hospitals, and there's a huge community of mothers and even fathers that are going through things like this that, when you go through that as a parent, it's hard to see the light on the other side. And I remember when we were going to the NICU and visiting Trenton, I remember a mom coming out crying, laying by her car in the parking garage, bawling her eyes out because she lost her son or daughter that night. And it's a real struggle. It's a real it's just a difficult situation, and it always encouraged me as a parent, when I heard other stories of preemies making it.
Yeah.
And so 32 weeks, most of them make it, but how many weeks?
I can't do math. Math is hard.
I don't know. I can't do math.
I'll blame it on that.
I teach kindergarten. How many apples is 2 apples?
Fired. No, I know I was 3 months early.
Okay, so just maybe 4, 8, 16, or 4, 8,
It's a
12.
lost cause, man.
So
just not. I haven't had enough first form in me yet to do that.
So 28 weeks.
Yeah, probably.
So you're 28 weeks. So that's if there's parents out there listening that have a preemie 28 weeks, that story, as a parent that had a preemie, I know that would encourage me to hear somebody else's testimony of making it, because that was all we were afraid about. Is he going to make it? Do other kids make it? What do they look like
odds?
when they're older?
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing too, man. They thought I was going to have, back then it was called mental retardation.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be funny.
And now the only thing you struggle with is releasing fish.
Yeah.
That's a miracle.
I might have a slight caffeine. The caffeine thing is just for me to, I need it. My heart was built on it. I'm just kidding. I don't need it. It's not an addiction. It's just a preference.
Yeah.
But but they said that I wouldn't live a normal life at all.
Wow.
And they were wrong, man. God had another plan.
Yeah, and that's what's encouraging to other parents that have preemies is knowing that there's others out there that were in your situation, and look how they turned out.
Yeah, and I think too, an important thing.
Full bearded.
No, okay, yeah. The beard is gonna go. I am donning the beard because FAC Talmadge is having an Easter promise program. It's gonna be a drama, and so I'm one of the disciples in the drama. And so if you see some facial hair,
ignore it.
That's what it is. It's actually very uncomfortable and itchy. I'm not used to this, but that's what the beard's for. So I'm not having a midlife crisis or anything. But that's what the beard's for. But yeah, no, it's man, they were wrong. And I think too, my mom had a word.
Yeah.
We talked about that a little bit too. Mom had a word. And it didn't matter what everyone else said. Let every man be a liar, but God be true, and so that's where she was with that. And so, if you have a word from God, hang on that. Don't worry about what everything else is saying or what the reports say. Hang on the word.
Yeah.
When you hang on the word, that's where things start to happen. You're going to see incredible things. And, especially if you prayed, God, I want to see miracles, signs, and wonders. Hey, then you're going to be in positions where you need miracles, signs, and wonders.
Yeah.
And, man, there's no shortage of that in my life. And so God has really kept me, and he's done more in my life than I ever thought possible. And so I'm excited for that. But there's times too where unexpected things happen. We started off this year, my wife and I with a miscarriage, and that was tough, man. And it's still tough, and I can't make sense of that.
Right.
And there's guilt that comes. There's so much that comes through with that. There's so much that comes in with that. But God's plan is God's plan. His ways are higher than my ways.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't always work out perfect. And if it doesn't work out perfect, maybe you're a parent, maybe you are that parent who lost your child, and you're listening and you're frustrated and you're upset and you don't feel right. And, you're hearing maybe hearing my story hurts because you lost yours.
Kind of reliving it.
And you're reliving this.
Yeah.
just know that God had a plan, and that baby is with him. And so, man, it's tough. I know that's tough. This is super deep and super serious. But man,
it's okay.
just know that God has a plan, and He orders that, and we don't need to make sense of it.
Right.
We just need to be faithful to Him, and,
Right.
and He'll be faithful to you, and He'll see you through to the perfect will of God. And I'm watching that today. I'm living that today.
Yeah, you've got two healthy children and a beautiful family.
Yep, they both love the fish that I catch to eat, and so
Yeah, you're blessed, dude.
man, so,
God has blessed your life, given you your dreams, really.
man, it is. It's
From
unreal.
your minister's license.
Yeah.
I know we've always talked podcast like for years now.
Yeah, this is
And
cool.
So it's finally like coming to life. Like it's pretty awesome.
Yep. It seems like we're in that season of
Yeah.
blessing and abundance, and that's cool, man. It's a cool season to be in. But I remember those moments where
Yeah.
it didn't feel right, and it didn't feel like things were gonna go my way ever.
I
And
feel like
so-
if you don't go, sorry, I didn't.
No, go for it.
I feel like if you don't go through those really hard times, and maybe that hard time wasn't really meant for you. Maybe it was meant for your mom in that moment. But like this year, you mentioned that your family went through a miscarriage. Like those trials and things that happen in your life lead to abilities and opportunities to minister to others in those same situations.
And you know what, man? And I thought about that a lot. And you know what? So be it. Man,
Yeah.
I shouldn't even be here. God, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of always been my mentality, is just I was never supposed to make it. So
Yeah.
God, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you receive the glory because I'm not even supposed to be here
Yeah, God is good.
all the time. God
And all
is
the
good.
time?
God is good.
What movie is that?
That's just a saying, man.
No, it's from a movie.
That's just a saying. I mean, I've said that. my
If you
whole
know
life.
the movies, tell
Is
us
it?
the movie.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's where I learned it from.
Hey, Casting Faith crew, let's talk about something that keeps us running strong. Literally, we're proud to partner with First Form, the leader in premium nutrition and supplements.
These products aren't just for gym rats, y'all. First Form has something for everyone. Whether you're in the gym, in the woods, or on the water chasing steelhead or bass, protein powders, pre-workouts, vitamins, greens, you name it, they've got it.
And here's the best part. When you shop through our link, you're directly supporting this podcast. Every order you make helps us keep doing what we love, talking faith, fitness, and fishing just for you.
So don't wait. Level up your health, fuel your passion, and support the Casting Faith podcast. Click that link and get started with First Form today.
All right, well, let's lighten things. Sorry about the deep, serious topic, but man, let's lighten things up a little bit, okay? Time for overrated, underrated.
Every segment.
It's gonna be the same. We're gonna get some better music, but with
1,
it's
2, 3, 4.
yeah. Overrated, underrated. All right, let's start
Okay,
with
you
this
can
one.
laugh at us. We're weird.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm okay.
You can skip.
Yeah. Don't just comment, all right, overrated, underrated. And I'm gonna go off the cuff on this one. We're not
Okay.
supposed to do that. All right.
Let's hear it.
Car shopping. Overrated or underrated? Car dealership shopping.
Yeah, I would never shop at a dealership physically, ever.
Yeah. Was that your last one?
Unfortunately, probably not.
Have you heard of Carvana?
Yeah, they
It's like the
sell
vending machine?
overpriced cars.
Is that what it is? It
Yeah.
just costs too much.
They are way overpriced.
Mm.
Yeah,
And that's probably why you have to stay for 4 hours, is because you're negotiating the dimes and nickels.
there was no negotiating, dude. I even asked, like, is the price the price? Like, can we work something different?
Yeah.
He's like, no, there's no negotiating. I'm like, why are we here?
Hey, sell it. Jeez. Oh. Why are we
Give me the car. I give you money.
I give
we
you-
go our ways.
I give you money, give me car. Give you money, give me car. Why no car?
What is the difficult concept in selling a car? I don't
know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it.
I don't like spending the
It's
time.
the
in
worst
dealership.
investment. If I did not have to drive, I probably wouldn't even own a car. I hate it.
Move to New York.
No,
City.
thank you. That's even worse. I would rather be in a horse and buggy in Amish country than living in New York
I
City.
hate going to Amish country.
Really?
All right, overrated, underrated Amish country, Berlin, Ohio.
What you know about that Guggisberg cheese?
No, thank you.
Man, really?
Overrated.
I love Amish country.
We went there for our honeymoon. Stayed in the Donna's cabins. Really nice cabins. But once you go out into like Berlin and you experience Berlin for the first time, every store is the same. Every store sells the same things.
Quality furniture, man.
Man.
Quality. Nothing like this table we got
this
going here.
table
We need to
sucks.
go visit and get us a nice Amish-built table.
We had, my father-in-law gifted us Amish-built custom cabinets when we redid our second house. And they were solid.
Be there forever.
Yeah. They
Probably
were
still
they
up in
were
there.
worth more than the house.
Wow. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Should have took them with you.
But Amish country, overrated.
I don't think so.
I
I
can't
think it's
stand
nice.
going down there.
Man, it's nice to get unplugged.
I
from the
can't
noise.
stand it.
You know, me and my wife went, we had our 10th anniversary, wedding anniversary, and we went, where'd we go? Went to Columbus, but we had stopped on our way home to Dear Dutchman, and it's like we skipped 80
I
years
hate
of
Dear
marriage
Dear
and just
Dutchman
went,
too.
and we
Yeah.
just went 80 years past. It's like something you do when you're old, but
Yeah.
we sat down and I'm like,
Dude, the banana pudding is so gross.
we're sitting down.
Not banana pudding, bread pudding.
We're eating this buffet, and I look across, and I'm like,
How old are we?
we skipped some chapters here.
Yeah,
No, but I would say just right. It has its place. Not all the time. I couldn't live there, but man, it has its place.
Yeah, no, thank you. My wife loves the thrift store in Berlin. It's her favorite place.
That's where
Because I mean, they have a lot of skirts and stuff. Because there's like more than just
'Cause
Amish.
they're
There's like
moms.
Mennonite and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
They're
I kind of
moms.
wear like apostolic clothes. So.
Yeah, I think it's just right, man. I think you have an unnatural hate for
Yeah.
Amish country.
I went there and I plugged my Tesla into the food truck place.
That's why you hate it. You
It
know
popped the circuit.
nowhere to charge. And they're like, "What do you do with this?" You put, that's funny.
Hey, so could Amish drive a Tesla?
No,
If-
electric,
It's battery.
electric.
No.
Buffer, battery, electric.
No, so they
What?
have drills and stuff that they charge
No.
off of generators.
Really?
Or like the cabinet shop we went to, they have this engine
They
turning
can't
this. They have an engine that turns this shaft in the middle of their shop, and the shaft turns all of their equipment.
That's the complete. No, there's no way they can't. They can't drive a Tesla. There's no way. Let's see.
I don't know. If you're Amish, you're probably
They're not
watching
listening
this.
either because electric. No, Amish communities
They can charge batteries.
they avoid modern technology, including cars, because of religious beliefs. Emphasis on simpler living.
It'd be hilarious to see like a I don't want to say cult, but like a group of Amish just driving Teslas around.
Well, most Amish don't.
hey,
drive,
brother.
Most Amish don't drive cars at all,
Yeah,
and so they do the horse buggies instead.
most Amish aren't really Amish anymore. This is what I've noticed.
Really? Well, maybe I think this.
They're like turning Mennonite and
I
stuff
think
like that.
that if the Amish had somebody to drive the Tesla, that they would get in it.
Oh yeah,
That's what it. I think
Right.
that's their loophole is
Yeah.
that they can get this van, but they just can't. They just call Mark from down the road to drive it.
yeah.
So
It's funny.
I don't know how we got here,
What you
but
got next? You got another one?
overrated, underrated. Let's see. Species fishing, like targeting the fish. Okay, so there's days where you ever been asked a question where, hey, what are you fishing for? And my
Yeah.
response is always like, fish.
Whatever bites.
Fit whatever bites, brother. That's where I'm always at.
I haven't done
So-
that in a long time.
So overrated, underrated, fishing just for anything or target species only.
Target species only.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the challenge of like you're not just throwing something out and hoping to get lucky. You're trying to
Man.
trick a specific fish.
I guess.
You know?
I think we differ here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
You don't like the challenge of
no,
the hunt.
I like the challenge of the hunt. I like that, but there's something really fun and exciting when you're fishing for bass and you hook into a giant catfish. And you're like, oh, I wasn't
Like, what is
I wasn't
this?
expecting this, but I'll take it. And so it's like an unexpected prize. It's like the claw machine. You never know what you're kind of going for something, but rather catch something than nothing, you know?
Yeah.
You ever go fishing and you're targeting a species and nothing's going, and so you switch to the tiny hook and bluegill nibbles, catch a bunch of brim just to catch something?
No.
Man, that's such a consolation prize.
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Rather avoid the skunk, you know? So, yeah. All right. Well, you got any for me?
Yeah. How about float fishing or hardware fishing for steelhead?
There was a time where...
Overrated or... Oh, wait. Nah, pick one. I don't know.
No, there was a time where I never thought artificial lures worked at all, ever.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was a grown adult before I switched to lures at all. It was always worm and bobber.
Yeah.
Always float fishing. That's what it was. And then, like, I started like you said, species targeting, tricking things with There's such a better reward when you're like, I floated this spoon next to you and you thought it was a fish, dummy. Now you're mine. Now you're in my freezer, right?
Yeah.
And so that's such a cool feeling that you tricked it into catching, something that wasn't alive.
Right.
It wasn't a bait really necessarily, but it was you lured it in. And so I think I'm more on the line of lures now.
So
if I had to choose, I would go with what I know, trusted and true.
Man.
But
How many fish have you? How many steelhead have you
that's
caught this year?
steelhead though. I can throw.
The question was steelhead specific.
Was it? I thought it was just
steelhead specific.
Okay, steelhead specific. I got to go with numbers don't lie. I got to start floating.
There you go.
But
ladies and gentlemen,
fishing in general, though,
steelhead friends.
I'm going with lures because I've caught on a little 2 5/ounce little Cleo. I've caught catfish. I've caught bass. I've caught largemouth. I've caught smallmouth. I've caught steelhead. I've caught bluegill. I've caught crappie, all on the same lure.
Yeah.
So if I had to choose one lure that's one. If you had to choose one lure to have in your tackle box, what would it be?
For
anything
specific?
Anything. If you could only pick one lure.
Lately,
what would it be? I got two options.
I don't know.
For me.
Because I fish for steelhead and bass, and that's it. And I don't think steelhead would bite what bass eat. And I don't think bass will eat what steelhead eat.
They do.
Not what I use. Well, maybe.
They do.
All right. So when I'm bass fishing, chase, I love throwing a Texas rig tube, a 3-inch tube, like pumpkin color or whatever, pumpkin, I forget what it's called. And then I also like using white swim baits with a bottom weighted hook. So it gets that like nice action. But
hey, remember that time where I taught
and then
you,
also Cinco, like weightless Cincos.
remember that time I taught you about that Berkeley power bait, swim bait?
Yeah.
We were bass fishing on Mogador.
Gosh.
Our loved Mogador
I
reservoir.
refuse to use that thing.
And we were fishing for hours, and I'm on bass 12.
No.
Yeah, bro, it was there. Me and Justin were killing it. And I look over at you, and I hold up this bass, and I go, hey! And I'm like, here! And I'm trying to throw you the lures, and you're like,
no, I'm good
not
with my
happening.
tube. Well,
I'm
I
just
was
gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Dude, I have so much luck with Texas rig Cincos, Texas rig tubes, and then now I switched to the swim bait because of that. So I'm using
that moment with me?
Yeah, but I'm not buying like the setup like all-in-one swim baits. I'm getting like the plastics and then putting it on the
that's just
weighted
a convenience thing.
Yeah.
And it's actually rather annoying.
Oh, also topwater frogs.
That's fun. I never believed in that either until one day we were playing church softball. And I was like, I don't want to play softball today. I want to go fish. And so I canceled last minute, which made David really upset. But I remember
David was a coach for our softball team, by the way.
And so I remember not going to softball, and I went off to the reservoir.
You could just tell him you got abducted by an alien, and he would believe you.
It was dusk. I abducted a fish that day. No, it was dusk. Or it was like, that's not the right word. Well, yeah, it is. Yeah. It was getting dark out, and I was like, I've never thrown a frog before, and I don't believe that this will work.
Caught one.
And I threw it out, and I saw.
Yeah.
And it popped up, and I went, ah! And I reeled it in, and I caught it, and I took a video, and I'm like, I probably still have it. I'm like, I just caught this fish on a frog.
That's
And I
funny.
sent it to him, and he goes, yeah, but you weren't at softball.
Yeah, we
and
lost.
we lost. And
Well,
so
to be fair, that league
that
was
a tough-
rigged.
It is a tough. Oh yeah,
The league was
Ringers.
rigged.
They got some minor league players at First Baptist in town.
That was like me bringing in my friend Kenny
yeah,
to the golf tournament.
Yeah.
He was a professional golfer. and
Absolutely.
we just destroyed everybody.
you're fighting.
Thank you, Kenny, by the way.
Yeah,
I never, ever will live that down.
man,
And hopefully you can come this year, too.
it's gonna keep winning,
He actually, so have you seen
moving that mission.
Have you seen the Tiger Woods league?
I saw some of that stuff you sent me on Instagram.
Yeah, so that friend that came down and played our golf tournament here at our church, he was like a product tester for that. So he spent a month or so like there doing testing at that SoFi Stadium or whatever it was. But it's pretty cool. He like worked for the
that's
Tiger
cool.
Woods group and stuff like that.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah,
Isn't that funny how like connections?
it's crazy. It's just a friend from high school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
yeah,
Well, final encouragement for this episode. Ready?
yeah. Let's hear it.
All right. God's promises are real, and they apply to each and every one of us. No matter what life throws your way, whether it's health challenges or family struggles or tough times, my challenge to you is to just trust in His plan. His promises always stand, and we're here because God doesn't fail.
Yeah.
He doesn't fail us. He knows exactly what He's doing, and it's not our job to question Him when life throws us curveballs, but it's just to trust in Him, trust in the Lord. And so be sure to do that. Trust in God. And while you're at it, we hope that this episode brought you some joy, brought you some understanding, some peace, some comfort. Maybe you're going through some hard times. I hope my testimony gave you some encouragement. But be sure to share this episode with a friend who needs encouragement. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, check out our sponsor, First Form. And until the next time, we're signing off.
Yep. We'll see y'all.
Like, comment, and subscribe.